Disturbing crimes that have rocked the Bay Area, leaving victims feeling helpless.
I feel like the criminal justice system's failing in California, and this is a symptom of it.
Many of the crimes caught on camera, with law enforcement working to find justice.
The person who did this should be held accountable.
This is Crime Files with Henry Lee. Hello, I'm Henry Lee and welcome to Crime Files. Here in the Bay Area, there's been no shortage of crime, which has had devastating effects on victims. Over the next half hour, we'll take a look at some of the cases that have made headlines here on KTVU. Many were heartbreaking and captured on video. We begin with a wild sideshow in Vallejo, but this was no ordinary sideshow involving just reckless drivers and others egging them on. This time, an innocent motorist trying to pass through a sideshow in February ended up getting attacked. Video shows this white GMC pickup truck crashing into a Ford Mustang while trying to get through a sideshow in Vallejo. That's when things get ugly. The crowd gets angry and surrounds the truck, beating the driver, shooting at him, and stomping on his windshield near Springs and Rollingwood. In this video, you can see the driver wearing an orange shirt running from his truck, but it wasn't over yet. The man in orange runs into the 7-Eleven at the corner and is chased by the crowd and again attacked inside the store. Some in the crowd then loot the 7-Eleven of everything from cigarettes and candy to lotto scratchers and beer.
Hey, what's up? Let me get some hot Cheetos.
At one point, someone set the victim's truck on fire. Vallejo police arrived and saw many sideshow participants taking off and running red lights. The truck continued to burn. Big T works at a pawn shop at the corner, which was covered with tire marks.
Yeah, he's just an innocent person trying to get to wherever he's going, and then he gets victimized. And sideshows are all they do is just, disrupt everybody, and they're dangerous, and people get hurt.
Tom Davis lives nearby.
Of course we're frustrated. We're angry. You don't see the police. You never see the police. The only time you see the police is 30, 40 minutes later after whatever happens.
Vallejo Mayor Robert McConnell says those caught spinning donuts should have their licenses revoked and face stiffer penalties beyond having their cars impounded for 30 days.
I believe it should be much longer. I would like to see 90 days. So they're just making a mockery of everybody else.
No arrests have been reported in the attack. After other sideshows, Vallejo police and other law enforcement have made arrests and seized cars after the fact, sometimes months later with registered owners on the hook for storage and tow fees. Home invasions have also been a regional issue, especially with armed suspects following victims home from one city to another. That was the case in March when a woman was confronted on her driveway in Alamo. Surveillance video shows a 61-year-old woman pulling her Mercedes G-Wagon into her garage in Alamo. About a minute later, this Lexus IS350 slowly backs into her driveway. The woman thought she knew them at first.
And when I realized I didn't recognize them, and two men jumped out with a gun, and when I realized that I was being robbed, I just started screaming.
One man had an AK-47 type rifle. We caught up with the woman on Wednesday. She did not want to be identified. She says she pleaded with the robbers.
Specifically said, I'm a mother, I have children, you have a mother and a father. Please don't hurt me.
They robbed her of her jewelry.
A Rolex watch and my diamond rings, my wedding rings, and my cross, diamond cross. It was all diamonds.
As the men got back into the Lexus, driven by a third person, the woman was able to get a partial plate of the Lexus, a plate that belongs to a different car. Sheriff's deputies spotted the Lexus on Highway 24 in Orinda, but lost it as it headed toward the Caldecott Tunnel. Sheriff's detectives came to her home to document the stolen jewelry and collect evidence. She says she's not sure when they started following her, only that they ended up at her home on the grounds of the Round Hill Country Club. She says she's shaken up, but grateful that it's the only property that she lost.
I'm still in shock a little bit, but I think the takeaway from this is that we all have to be aware of our surroundings, and when you pull into your garage, don't get out, close your garage, and then get into your house.
She's a women's clothing store owner who wonders if she somehow could have inspired them to choose a different path.
That if I taught them business, or if they were taught young, that they would have a fruitful career and they wouldn't have to result in this behavior and land themselves in jail, if not worse.
Police are urging people to be aware of their surroundings. If you're being followed, call 911 or drive to the nearest police station and avoid going home directly. In Sonoma County, sheriff's deputies came under fire during a chaotic shootout in March. After authorities say a gunman with an AK-47 style rifle opens fire at a Sonoma County sheriff's car, deputies confront the suspect.
Who's your hands?
The suspect responds with more gunfire even as other deputies converge on him near Santa Rosa just after midnight on March 4th.
Got one subject in the car moving around a lot. Shots fired.
The deputy then returns fire in what would be the first of several exchanges of gunfire during a harrowing confrontation. It all began when the suspect brandished the rifle at a nightclub at the corner of Stony Point and Todd Road, where he had been kicked out a day earlier. He then took off in a white car as deputies arrived. He led deputies on a chase to a parking lot on Todd Road near Standish Avenue, where the first gun battle happened.
These kinds of incidents are rare in Sonoma County, where a suspect is aggressively coming after law enforcement.
The chase came to an end when the suspect crashed his car into what turned out to be an empty sheriff's cruiser on Stony Point near Butler Avenue. Deputy Nicholas Delia was outside of his car trying to set up spike strips. That deputy opened fire. But Deputy Delia was then accidentally hit and run over by fellow Deputy James Blount's car and suffered a major head injury. Santa Rosa Police Lieutenant Christopher Mahurin says what led up to that crash is under investigation.
We are looking into, was he believing that maybe that was the suspect who was firing at that time as well? It's very dark on Stony Point Road, especially in that part of town.
The incident left a number of deputies injured and several patrol cars damaged, shot up, and mangled. All told, police say the suspect, 53-year-old Jose Luis Villaseñor Cervantes, fired more than 50 times with his rifle. He was shot and wounded by deputies, but ultimately died as a result of crashing into the deputy's car. Deputy Delia, seen here with his fiancée and son, suffered what the Deputy Sheriff's Union says were catastrophic injuries, including burns to his back and a brain injury. Both he and the deputy who crashed into him had been on the job for only 10 months. Several weeks after the incident, the deputy who was hurt was released from the hospital to continue his recovery at a rehab center. Coming up after the break, a mother of 8 shot and killed after confronting drug dealers in East Oakland. Law enforcement have the training to face danger head-on, but when a mother of 8 confronted drug dealers in East Oakland in August, she paid with her life.
She's left her 8 kids, and it's really hard.
Carmen Beltran is heartbroken after her niece, Maria Ramos, a mother of 8 children, was gunned down in East Oakland after confronting a carload of teenagers she suspected of selling marijuana vape pens to some of her kids. It happened at about 2 in the afternoon on August 7th. Ramos, visiting from L.A., and her mother, Blanca Velasco, became concerned when they spotted the teens parked outside Velasco's home.
Our plan was to tell them, stop coming to our house.
The teens left in a blue Toyota. Surveillance video shows that car double parked a couple blocks away on Hilton Street near Bancroft Avenue. You can see a Toyota RAV4 driven by Velasco with her daughter as a passenger pulling up alongside the car. Ramos comes out of the SUV and sprays pepper spray into the car. That's when authorities say a 16-year-old boy jumps out, opens fire as Ramos runs across the street. The 33-year-old collapsed on the sidewalk. Her mother, who drove off after having a gun pointed at her, came back and found her daughter motionless.
So I started rubbing her chest and telling her, Lupita, I said, breathe, we still need you. You have 8 kids. And she did. She tried.
Now, Ramos' 7 daughters, ages 1 to 15, and 7-year-old son are trying to contemplate life without their mom, who herself kicked a drug habit many years ago.
She was a cheerful person, a very lovable person to her and her kids. Her kids were the world to her.
The victim's aunt had this message for those responsible.
It's another way to fix the problems. If you have some problems with somebody, they don't have to shoot in nobody.
The teenage shooting suspect's been charged with murder. Many businesses in Oakland have been victimized by burglars, some repeatedly. In May, one deli downtown vowed to stay open after cars repeatedly crashed into its storefront.
Cars driving into our lobby and really taking out, our lobby and our counters.
Burglaries in the middle of the night.
Since the beginning of 2022, we've had 11 break-ins, and we've had 3 break-ins just these past couple weeks.
It's been one mishap after another at Wise Sons Jewish Delicatessen at 17th and Franklin in downtown Oakland. But unlike other business owners who say they've had it with crime in the city, deli CEO Jeff Weinstein says he's staying put.
We're not going anywhere right now. We're committed to being here. I'm committed to these employees in this location. I'm committed to serving food, food to our guests.
But criminals seem committed to breaking into the deli. On May 1st, these intruders broke in and rummaged through the restaurant. In most of the break-ins, not much is actually taken. But on Monday night, a burglar did steal some tablets. This burglar broke into a side door, went inside, and soon went back out.
In that period of time was that I can be as angry or upset as I want, but I need to be able to focus on what I can control.
Not that Weinstein is happy with what's been going on.
But something has to change for that to be sustainable. We simply can't afford, every couple weeks to be replacing doors, to be replacing equipment.
Or remodeling. Last year, this Acura MDX crashed into the deli, ending up completely inside.
There were two cars that were racing. One of them cut the other one off, sending that other car into our lobby.
The crash also sheared off a fire hydrant. The wreck caused at least $250,000 in damage. The deli had to close for a couple of months for repairs. In 2022, another car lost control and crashed into the deli. Customers say they're glad Weinstein is standing pat.
Good for him. I'm happy that he's going to stay.
So many of them are like Jeff. They believe in Oakland, but want to see support from their city council, from their mayor, and from staff.
Wise Sons in downtown Oakland ultimately closed several months later. After the break, crime victims taking matters into their own hands. In Oakland, some crime victims have been upset by the delayed response by police to their calls for help. In May, one victim of a stolen truck took matters into his own hands.
I feel like the criminal justice system's failing in California, and this is a symptom of it.
This auto theft victim is frustrated. Video shows a Dodge Charger with 3 people inside pulling up to his Redwood City home. They made a beeline to his custom-made Dodge Ram pickup truck in the driveway. One guy drives away in his truck, maneuvering around the Tesla that was meant to be a barrier. The victim, who doesn't want his name used, said he tracked a stolen truck to this cul-de-sac near 99th and Plymouth in East Oakland and went there himself at 3:45 a.m.
The same Dodge Charger that was in front of my house was parked across the street facing that car. They covered my vehicle with like a tarp, but they could only cover the front half of it, so I could see the back of my truck, and I knew it was my truck.
He called Oakland police several times, but was told no officers were available to respond.
I'm telling them I can see the truck, I have a tracker, I can remote start it, I can turn on the lights, and they're saying, too busy, don't care.
He noticed people on the street looking at him and decided to head back to Redwood City.
There was guys coming out of the street, and it was like, I could kind of tell it was about to get tense.
He decided to call KTVU at about 7 in the morning. We called Oakland police, and that seemed to speed things up. An hour later, he got a call from Redwood City police saying that Oakland police had towed his car. The Marine Corps veteran says he never expected to be treated this way by law enforcement.
It wasn't until the news got involved where all of a sudden they're kicked into high gear.
We were there as he went to the tow yard and picked up his truck. It wasn't all good news.
I gave up like this many years of my life for what? Like, that's the ultimate feeling. Like, what was this all for? Because I come back home, my truck gets stolen, and they're going to do nothing about it.
2 weeks ago, he believes the same Dodge Charger had been casing his home. That prompted him to install security cameras and use the Tesla as a buffer. We spotted that same Charger in East Oakland on Wednesday afternoon.
The alignment's off, and they tore apart the whole driver's side trying to look for the tracker.
Now he fears the thieves might come back a third time.
Only a matter of time until it happens again. And where is it going to be found next, and what are they going to do? How long is it going to take for them to respond?
Police say while they can't always immediately go after suspects in property crimes, they recommend that crime victims not confront thieves directly and instead be a good witness. It seems like no one is immune from crime, not even firefighters. In August, an Oakland fire crew trying to help a girl stuck in a swing ended up having a critical tool stolen from them. Charles Welch's 10-year-old granddaughter got stuck in a baby swing at this park at 16th and West Streets. There used to be 2 swings here. The Oakland Fire Department had to use the jaws of life because the girl was smack dab stuck, legs, bottom, and all.
My granddaughter got caught in the seat, and they had to come over here. And when I got here, they had cut the seats and stuff loose.
A witness tells KTVU the girl was scared.
First one, they tried to cut it, but it was so tight. The girl, she was screaming. She wasn't feel right. Then they had to take the whole swing down.
The girl was saved from the swing, and she'll be okay. But in the aftermath of it all, firefighters realized their jaws of life, worth about $15,000, was missing.
Somebody homeless probably came around here and picked it up and thought they could make some money off of it.
This jaws of life weighs about 55 pounds. It's not the lightest thing in the world, but someone could have easily picked it up and walked away with it. The device belongs to the firefighters at Station 1, just blocks from the park.
These tools are mostly used for extrication of individuals and occupants of vehicles that have been in car accidents.
We spoke to the manager of a nearby market whose surveillance cameras caught the fire department response, but not the theft.
It's insane. How come they steal something like that? You know, firefighter, they come to rescue a girl and they steal that. That's crazy, you know.
That stolen jaws of life is still missing, but the fire department very quickly got a replacement. After the break, police and prosecutors typically work hand in hand, but in Alameda County, they were sometimes at odds. It's not just crime victims who can be frustrated. In Alameda County, the top cop was upset after Alameda County DA Pamela Price declined to charge special circumstances against a man accused of killing his family in Alameda back in July.
The person who did this should be held accountable.
Alameda Police Chief Nishant Joshi is haunted by a shooting in his island city that left an entire family dead, including 2 grandparents and 2 children.
I've been a police officer for 26 years. I've seen a lot in my career. This is for sure, if not the most shocking, one of the most shocking incidents that I've ever experienced.
54-year-old Shane Killian is in jail, accused of killing his family at their home on Kitty Hawk Road along Alameda's South Shore on July 10th. The victims, his 36-year-old wife, Brenda Natalie Morales, her parents, Miguel Carcamo, who was 70, and Marta Elena Morales, who was 56, his 6-year-old son, William, who loved to play baseball. His other son, Wesley, just 14 months old, died several days later at a hospital.
A 1-year-old baby suffered for several days, went through numerous surgeries, and fought and fought and fought and couldn't fight anymore.
Joshi, who previously worked for the Oakland police, came straight to the scene while off duty. He later reviewed harrowing body camera footage from his officers.
I saw pain. I saw fear. I heard sounds that told me that there was pain, fear, and concern. And I'm just going to leave it at that.
Joshi says his heart aches for the victim's family.
I've looked into their eyes and I see the pain, confusion, sorrow that they're experiencing. And we need to pay attention to them.
Killian's been charged with 5 counts of murder and enhancements, but the chief says he's upset that Alameda County prosecutors under DA Pamela Price declined to charge the special circumstance of multiple murder, which takes life without parole off the table if Killian's convicted.
I don't understand that. What are we doing? Why is this not a special circumstances case?
Price was unavailable for an interview, but her office issued a statement saying Killian could face 246 years to life in prison. The chief isn't convinced.
I also know from being in this business long enough that there's also a potential that this person could get out after serving a certain number of years.
Price's predecessors have typically lodged the multiple murder special circumstance for more than 1 killing, let alone 5.
I don't think that a person who has murdered a grandfather, a grandmother, a mother, and 2 children should be able to be able to get out.
He says ultimately he wants justice.
I don't think that everybody should be in jail forever, but I think some people need to be.
In November, DA Pamela Price was recalled from office. In Oakland this past summer, residents at a senior housing complex pleaded for protection after a spree of robberies in the area, with many victims elderly women of Asian descent.
He beat her. Not only the money, he beat her. She get hurt.
Maria Sang says her 80-year-old neighbor was attacked and held up, one of 15 residents of an Oakland senior housing community, most of them elderly women of Asian descent, who've been targeted by robbers.
All the seniors scared to go out. They stop all their activities. They scared to go shopping, grocery, walk around this area.
A woman who lives at Westlake Christian Terrace became the latest victim. Surveillance video shows 3 guys jump out of a Kia Sorento. They run to the woman at 28th and Broadway, pull her to the ground, and drag her on the sidewalk. But then 2 workers at Volkswagen of Oakland run out and try to stop them. One robber pulls out a gun, and they drove off.
It took me a second to register. I just thought about my family and kind of made me stop because I still wanted to chase them.
Dealership employee John Arose tells me he's seen robbers repeatedly targeting victims from the senior housing complex.
It's just very unfortunate. It's disgusting behavior, and I will do anything to stop it as much as possible.
When is the violence going to stop?
Sister Marie Taylor heads the resident council.
Not only are they just grabbing and kicking them, but now they're using guns to also intimidate and make sure they get what they want.
Oakland Chinatown leader Carl Chan's asking for more resources in the form of shuttles, chaperones, and a beefed-up law enforcement presence.
They're supposed to be getting respect, love, and care, but instead, they're facing all these crimes.
We should all be outraged and disgusted by the fact that our seniors and elders are subjected to violence.
Oakland Deputy Police Chief Frederick Shavy says several juveniles have been arrested, but that other robbery crews are still at large. He says police have stepped up patrols.
We want individuals in that community to feel safe. We also want to bring some sort of justice to those who've been victimized.
Police urge people to keep their heads on a swivel and to remain vigilant no matter where you are. Now, while checking court records one day, I came across a case involving a prolific theft suspect. But in July, he was accused of victimizing a little girl with cancer, and Alameda police pulled out all the stops to help the family. Surveillance video shows this man stealing a Hello Fresh meal kit package from Molly Laufer's home in Alameda in July. She learned later the thief had also taken another package from Etsy with a special Wonder Woman-themed item inside.
I had a custom t-shirt made for my daughter. She's 3.5 years old, and she had just been diagnosed the month prior with thyroid cancer.
I have some bad news.
Alameda police officer Hung Win stopped by her home the day of the theft and told her a neighbor had found empty packages nearby.
And I realized, oh my gosh, that t-shirt had been delivered. So then I started crying in front of the police officer.
Crying because the family was set to visit Philadelphia in a couple of weeks to begin cancer treatment for her daughter, Charlie.
And so I was really angry about the logistics and just one more thing I had to figure out. I was really upset about the t-shirt.
The officer was upset too.
He kept saying, oh no, this isn't right. This is not okay.
The next day, Officer Wynn and others stopped by the house with gifts for the family, including a police patch, junior police evidence bags, and cards signed by members of the department. Police also later brought over a replacement pink Wonder Woman shirt for Charlie. And these shirts were made for free by Christopher Tam, who owns the All Good Living store in Alameda.
My father, who was an educator in Alameda, passed away from cancer. And so I just felt really bad about the situation.
As far as the package thefts, this crime would not go unsolved. As soon as Alameda police saw that video, they immediately recognized the thief as the same guy they say has stolen 4 times from this Old Navy at South Shore Center down the street.
Oftentimes we run into people who are in situations that, to no fault of their own, find themselves in, and the best we could do is try to uplift them for that moment.
The response from the Alameda Police Department was one of the most touching responses we've had since this diagnosis.
That suspect, Butai Hack, has not been accused of any new crimes so far. If you want to learn more, you can go to KTVU.com or download our Fox Local app. That's it for the Special Crime Files. I'm Henry Lee. We'll see you on air and online.